Right. I would have thought they were insane, right? Like, because at that point, I think one of the things we do when we're stuck in places is we have all these lofty goals. Like, I don't know, I should go run a marathon. Well, that's just not happening, you know? And so I think the trick for me was to break it into tiny little increments. Like, I am just going to learn about this one little question. But if you had told me there would be a book at the end, I would have thought you were insane. I mean, there was just no way that, I mean, for one, I wasn't even sure I was interested in writing books. You know, I had never thought about that before. But I think I would have loved to have reassured myself at the time that I would find my way out of it and that I would find something I love doing. Because at the time I just thought, what in the heck have I done by leaving work? You know, like, I'm just going to watch TV all day, every day. This is not the life I want, you know.
Everybody, welcome back to Living the Next Chapter. I love this show. Why? Because I get to talk to great people. And I love when I go to a author's website and I'm like, what is up with this? I go to Lucie's website and I see like a bunch of like characters that I know. And I'm like, what is happening here? I got to ask. So we're going to talk about that because you're going to see it on Lucie's website. But she's got a great new book coming out, and I'm excited about this. I'm excited to talk to Lucie. She's really a fun person to talk to. You're going to love this conversation. Lucie, welcome to Living the Next Chapter. Glad to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
It's exciting. Okay, so we go to luciefrost.com, and first thing I see is my eyeballs are filled with all of these characters. I'm like, Lucie, explain, like, what the heck is going on here? What is this?
I'll start by saying Lucie is Lucie.
Yes.
So if you're going to look for the website, don't use a Y. That is a photograph of piñatas taken in Querétaro, Mexico, which is by San Miguel de Allende. And I grew up in Mexico, actually. Oh. And so I spend a lot of time down there. And everything Mexico is just really close to my heart. So.
Wow. Okay, so we have listeners in Mexico who listen to the show.
Oh, wonderful.
Would you like to welcome them at all?
Yes.
Please?
Bienvenidos. Gusto que estén aquí. And I look forward to talking to you and all of you. Welcome, welcome.
Welcome. That's great. Awesome. Now they're going to be smiling. They're like, wait, usually an English-speaking podcast, and now somebody's talking to us finally. This is good stuff.
Yeah.
That's great. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well done. Let's start at the beginning, Lucie. Tell us where you are, like where do you live, and let's start there.
Yeah, so I am in San Antonio, Texas, and so I still get plenty of daily doses of the Hispanic culture, which is fabulous.
Great.
We are, just down here, and it's hot. But other than that, it's fabulous.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm up here in Canada and it's cold. So there you go.
Yeah,
so we're the opposites
of
each other, but we're still friends, which I love. Okay. Talk about your author journey a little bit, Lucie. Like, how did you end up here on Living the Next Chapter? Like, I know the pinnacle of your art writing debut and all this great stuff that you're doing and writing and sharing your stories. I know this is like the ultimate for you to be here with me. I'm kidding. I'm joking. But
no, it is.
What sparked all this for you? Like, what was the thing that got you writing?
So I practiced law for my whole career and was able to retire young, which was great. And then I knew I wanted to start writing when I retired. I did a lot of writing as a lawyer, wrote a zillion briefs and, this and that. But I was really excited about creative writing. So I started with just writing humor and satire. And I went through the whole Second City out of Chicago through their whole training program, which is a series of humor and satire classes, which I absolutely commend to anyone who is interested in writing humor or even just infusing a little bit of humor into the writing they're already doing.
Wow.
And so I started with that and then started writing short form humor and satire for humor publications. And then at some point decided I wanted to try to write a full-length book. So got started doing that. And for those of you listeners who are nonfiction writers, you always hear the word platform, because for the rest of you who don't know, there's a difference between publishing fiction and nonfiction. For nonfiction, you're not expected to have a full platform, be it an expertise. I mean, for fiction, for novels, or a big social media presence. But for nonfiction, including memoir, you really are. And so I started an Instagram, which evolved into what I call "How the hell did I not know that?" Just about with reels about things I didn't know but should have, or things I wish other people knew but apparently they don't, and just short, fun reels. And then that evolved, and ultimately the publisher came to me and asked if I had ever considered writing a book.
Wow.
As it happens, I already had one written because I was, we were parallel thinking there.
Of course.
But, sometimes that platform thing works. That's all I'm going to say about that,
Wow. Okay, that's interesting that they came to you. So often I have authors chasing these people down, trying to get their attention. And it's nice that you got that.
Well, yes, and I certainly did my fair share of chasing. I don't want you to think it came out of nowhere. I had queried the book and tried to get an agent for it. And then, like everything in life, it was just this confluence of events. I did a storytelling event similar to Moth, but it was for Texas Public Radio. And someone at the publisher had heard that. And then Jenny Lawson, who is an amazing humor writer, retweeted or reposted one of my Instagram reels. So all those things happened at once. And then the publisher then went to my social media and got interested and then reached out. So you just never know what little thing you're going to do that's going to get their interest. It's exciting.
Okay, so let's put you on stage in front of a group of authors. They're here to learn about writing. They're all net new. They're just learning. They're baby podcasters, baby authors. They're just learning. They're just trying to find their feet. You're the guest speaker of the day because you have a book and you're a published author. So you've done it. You have the stage. What is your topic? What would you share with a group of new authors?
I think I'm a good person to talk about social media just because I went from a social media of 0 to one that has about 100,000 followers. And I did that in a pretty short time. I mean, it was probably in 3 or 4 years that I went from nothing to that size. So just knowing that it's doable if you've never been on camera, just trying it, knowing that you don't have to do a reel from start to finish, you can edit the heck out of it.
Right.
I don't memorize scripts. I'd say a maximum of 1 sentence, maybe 2, because I can't remember anything more than that.
Yeah.
And then cobble those together. I use a software called InShot, although there are plenty of editing programs or apps out there. And so I think not being intimidated by social media and then the relationships that I've built there have just been huge. And I've met so many of my followers, and it's so much fun to go to a city and then run into somebody and have coffee with them, and that's great. The other thing I would say is take classes, just whatever you can afford to do. Conferences in particular can be really helpful. Some are better than others. But, I'm down in Texas, and one of the first conferences I went to was the Texas Writers League Agents and Editors Conference. And just from meeting other writers to sort of support each other's journey, I hate that word, but to making contacts in the book industry, to actually learning the things in the classes.
Okay.
Those have been huge.
Okay. You talked about Second City. I want to go back to that for a second.
Yes.
In Toronto, here in Canada, we have Second City, and it's sparked the careers of many famous people you'll see on film and TV and stuff. What was the draw for you to go specifically to that for training over maybe somewhere else? Like what brought you there?
Well, and I've certainly taken other classes as well. That's really the series of courses that I would say really helped hone my comedic voice, though. I mean, I really give them the most credit. I think I originally went to them just for reputation.
Okay.
At the time I was starting to write was during COVID.
Yeah.
And so the helpful thing about that is that all of those places that, you previously had to live in the city to go to were now online.
Yeah.
And the thing is they still are today. I mean, I think of 92nd Street Y in New York. Oh my gosh, they have the best classes and the best instructors. And those weren't previously available to all of us. And now they are. So, anyway, so Second City was available in a way that it wasn't previously. I knew they had a great reputation. They have a very structured curriculum. They absolutely help you get your things published and learn sort of where are good places to publish pieces and encouraging you to do that. So once you start getting things published, it really sort of the wheels start spinning, and you get some momentum. And they were really, really helpful in that, in ways that maybe other classes were not.
Okay, let's switch gears a little bit and talk more about the book. Let's expand on the subtitle of your book as well. This is it's because that's a big part of your story, right?
Absolutely.
So how the hell did I not know that? Question mark. My midlife year from couch to curiosity. I'm a really curious person, so I'm curious about the title. See what I'm doing here? So expand on it for us. Let's go.
Yes. So when I retired, I found I had all sorts of ideas about what I would do in retirement. But with the expanse of time that I had and the lack of structure, my kids had just gone off to college and I just found myself not able to do much of anything. And one day I was sitting there about 6 seasons into 90 Day Fiancé, which is one of the worst reality shows out there. And I thought, this cannot be my life. It just cannot be my life. But I couldn't get motivated to get off the couch and go anywhere or do anything. I think a lot of it was just decompressing after work. But also, it was a complete loss of identity, both with the empty nest thing and the leaving the job. So ultimately, one day I just thought, I am stuck on this couch. Apparently, I'm not leaving the couch. So at least I'm going to learn something while I'm here. Right. So I sort of started this learning thing and decided I would learn about any little thing I was curious about. So it started out with 90 Day Fiancé and learning about the the marital visa versus fiancé visa process and learning what medical conditions would get you kicked out. And then I found out the plague would. And then I was like, oh, what was the plague exactly? Anyway, is it like a mass killing disease? If this many people die, we call it a plague? Or is it a specific bacteria? So then I went down the rabbit hole of learning everything about the plague. And I just went from thing to thing to thing. And interestingly, just chasing that curiosity is what got me back into the world, and it really helped me figure out sort of what to do with my life. At the beginning, people would be like, well, what are you passionate about? And I was like, I don't know, nothing, absolutely nothing. So it really helped me find where I was most drawn.
Okay, well, this might disappoint you, but this podcast is actually sponsored by the 90 Day Fiancé show series, so I don't know what I'm going to...
The very best reality.
One of the very... No, I'm kidding. We're not sponsored by anybody. Anyways, I wanted to put that in there just to... my vain attempt at being...
never will be sponsored by them now.
No, not now. Not because of you. Thanks, Lucie.
Right.
It's my small attempt at being funny. I haven't taken any classes, and I annoy my wife. My wife finds me funny from a safe distance. That's what I would say.
There you go.
Right?
Yeah.
That's funny.
But you want people to laugh with you, not at you. That's the trick.
That's the trick. I like it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned empty nest. So I'm an empty nester, so you and I got that in common. Expand on that a little bit.
Yeah, so it's more of the same, just loss of identity and time. You just don't realize, I think, until your kids are gone, how much of your physical time and your emotional time and space was spent raising children. And then all of a sudden, you're like, oh, wow, that identity is gone too, And so for me, the book talks about this 1 year post-retirement and sort of trying to find my path along this year. And I think it's helpful for whether it's you're empty nested, whether you just left your job, whether you have whether you're divorced, any big life transition moment. I think really chasing your curiosity really is a way to help you get through it. And so that's what I wanted to speak to. And I say that because it worked for me. I mean, it may not work for everybody, right? But and it's also just funny because some of the things you end up looking up are insane. How PG do I have to keep this?
Yeah, we're good. Go for it.
Okay. One of the things I learned about was that there was an artist name who went by Cynthia Plastercaster, and she molded the erect phalluses of musicians.
Wow.
And it's as an art project where they were supposed to sculpt or mold something that was hard. And she talked Jimi Hendrix into letting her mold him. So it's those sorts of things. Like I learned about crazy things about like, why are duck breasts dark meat, but chicken breasts are white meat?
Wow.
Just any little thing that I was interested in. And so some of them are super funny and some of them are serious, right? And, but I think it's a good life transition project to do.
We're covering all the bodily parts here on the podcast, which is fun for me. There you go. Okay. See? Right. Okay. All right. So with the title of the book and everything, it's kind of wraps in a little bit to my show, Living the Next Chapter.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kind of, right?
Yes.
Anytime I can plug my show, I'm going to sneak it in here. So, so you're living your next chapter then, right? Through the process of writing the book and then now getting the book out there. This is your next chapter.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's like a whole second identity and and I'm learning so much because I didn't know anything about publishing before or anything about writing, creative writing. And so just learning, and it's so much fun,
What would you have said to yourself sitting on the couch watching TV if somebody walked into your room and went, you know what? You could be an author and write a book about your story if you just get off the couch. What would you have said to that person? Get out of my house, first of all. Who are you?
Right.
But
I would
second,
have thought they were insane, right? Like, because at that point, I think one of the things we do when we're stuck in places is we have all these lofty goals. Like, I don't know, I should go run a marathon. Well, that's just not happening, And so I think the trick for me was to break it into tiny little increments. Like, I am just going to learn about this one little question. But if you had told me there would be a book at the end, I would have thought you were insane. I mean, there was just no way for one, I wasn't even sure I was interested in writing books. I had never thought about that before. But I think I would have loved to have reassured myself at the time that I would find my way out of it and that I would find something I love doing. Because at the time I just thought, what in the heck have I done by leaving work?
Okay.
Like, I'm just going to watch TV all day, every day. This is not the life I want,
So there's a lack of identity in that change, right? Going from your career to not being in the office anymore and not being responsible for deadlines and emails and phone calls and, lunch meetings and all that stuff is different now. You're just trying to find your identity.
And I feel like as a lawyer in particular, I mean, people pay to hear what you have to say, Like, I left the law firm a while back. I mean, they're paying you $500 an hour just to listen to you talk. And then you go to leaving that job and you realize nobody cares what I have to say. And so that's a real shift from going from being the expert in the room and whether it's lawyering or whatever, the listeners here are doing in their lives. I mean, you're used to having some sort of expertise, and all of a sudden you have none. And so that's a real change. And I think when we think about retirement in particular, we think about the financial aspects, and we really plan for that. And we listen to Susie Orman or whatever, and we talk to our financial advisor. And we say, oh, I'm going to travel. But, you forget that you're not going to have all that money to travel nonstop because you don't have an income anymore. And although I do travel quite a bit, but, you just really focusing on the mental health part of it, on what are my days going to look like? How much structure do I need in my life? I found out I need way more structure than I was so ready to cast aside the structure, not have it. And then the minute I didn't have structure, it was bad. I go to a co-working space now to write, to make myself get up and leave the house every day because I need the structure. And otherwise, I can very easily just sort of fritter the day away.
Yeah.
And wonder what I've done. Yeah.
So anybody dealing with identity, anyone dealing with a big significant life change, career change, retirement, empty nest, your book is going to be for all of these people, right?
All of those, provided they don't mind curse words. Girl's gonna curse.
Okay. All right. Warning, everybody. Warning.
Yes.
Don't let all these.
Not for people of delicate ear.
Okay. Yes. All of these people who love all these cartoon characters and all these amazing people on your website, just remember, there's going to be a little bit more depth to this book beyond Woody that you see here. See, now that's a reference back to what you talked about earlier. But anyway, there's a lot of other things going on here. So
that was bad.
That was bad, really bad. We have to take that one out. Okay, so what's your love letter to a reader? What are you expecting for them? What should they expect from the book? If you're able to sit down with a reader and explain kind of the big idea of the book, let's unpack that a little bit more.
So the big idea of the book is finding meaning in midlife through exploring your curiosity. But what I really think readers will take away is, one, I hope people laugh. I mean, that's the whole goal, is that it's supposed to be funny.
Okay.
And then to see themselves in someone else, because while the things I'm talking about are super specific, they're also universal, right? And so to feel it's written in a very conversational tone. So I want people to feel like they're talking to a friend or that it's super approachable, a book you can I don't have the attention span to read really long, heavy books anymore. This is one you can put down, pick it up, read it from the middle, skip a part, that's fine.
Yeah.
But mainly I want people to see a way out when they're in this sort of transitional phase of life.
Yeah.
And making small, attainable steps and not these huge life questions that at that stage are unanswerable, I think. Go chase your passion. What the hell does that mean?
Right.
That's just staying away from those sorts of advice that you get so much.
Okay. It's going to tickle our intelligence a little bit too, right? We're going to learn something here.
Absolutely. I mean, you're learning, so it's trivia filled. So you are learning about everything, to reminding yourself why the sky is blue, to hearing about Anderson Cooper sunburning his eyes. I mean, you learn to why golf balls have dimples, why toilet seats are crescent-shaped in public versus at home they're a full oval. I mean, really anything I was curious about.
Interesting.
So I hope it's like you've got a lot of party talk and conversation fodder on learning the things, and then at the same time are inspired to go chase your own curiosities.
Good. Is there an audio version, do you think, down the road for this?
Yeah, so I have recorded the audiobooks.
Wow.
So, so it's available at the same places the book is, which is everywhere. Barnes & Noble, your favorite indie bookstore, bookshop.org, which supports independent bookstores.
Good.
Amazon, of course.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Okay. Any special things in the audio version at all?
They're not.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have any bonus material or anything like that in the
Okay.
audio. Although you do get to hear my Texas accent and all of its
There
glory.
you go. That's worth the price of it right there.
There you go. And all the words I realize that I don't know how to pronounce. Um, like I always say, apparently, I didn't know this before, why instead of while. So I'll say like, I'm drinking the beverage while I'm eating my food.
Interesting.
And I never realized I had that verbal mess until I recorded the audiobook. But anyway, now I know.
I love an audiobook read by the author because you know what's coming as you wrote the words. So you put more inflection on certain parts, and some things are more, it's light and funny, so you can add a little bit with your voice as you talk. Compared to, and a lot of people do this, they'll hire a voice actor, which is great.
Yeah.
But when an author reads it, I find I connect really, really well with an author who reads their own book. I enjoy them.
I do too. It does depend on this type of book for me.
Yeah.
Novels like Meryl Streep, reading Ann Patchett's book was just, of course, amazing. Novels, sometimes I really do appreciate a voice actor, but for a memoir where it's the author's own words,
Yeah.
I think it really does help to hear it in their voice. I picked a narrator. So I looked for a narrator. I found a narrator I liked, and that was my plan. But then I was strongly discouraged and from using them and encouraged to go ahead and do it in my own voice since it is a memoir. So I did it.
Was that intimidating for you to get on the mic and record this?
No, it wasn't because I've done so many reels on Instagram, so I'm used to hearing my voice. What it was is more difficult than I anticipated it would
Really?
be. When you're reading just sort of, 1, 2, 3, read, you just mess up so much and so many words. And then, your stomach is gurgling or your mouth is making these funny noises. And so it was just far, pee popping, which I know you
Yes.
hear about it. And, you're up on the,
Right.
making
Yeah.
all these strong pee sounds. And anyway, so it was a learning curve. I would definitely leave it to the professionals. If I finished a novel that I'm querying now, and if that were ever an audiobook, I would absolutely leave it to professionals. There's characters and
Yeah.
different voices they would need to do and stuff like that. I'm not qualified to do.
Yeah. Well, in a smaller context, we do that in podcasting. We're always recording and solo episodes or interviews like this. So we're on the mic a lot, and you learn a lot about yourself when you hear yourself back and you're like, that's what I sound like?
Yeah.
In my head, I sound different than that. So that's part of the, the curve of imposter syndrome a little bit, that authors who voice their own books, they're like, I don't sound like that at all. Who is that person? Right.
My Texas accent is much stronger than I ever realized it was. If you had asked me, I probably would have said I didn't have much of an accent. And, but of course now I'm well aware that I do.
Interesting.
So,
Okay, that's good. So you
Yeah.
did kind of let the cat out of the bag there a little bit. I don't know who put the cat in the bag, but anyways, you kind of let it out a little bit, saying there's something else coming down the road. Can you talk in brief
yeah.
terms about it? Just kind of brief
Yeah.
terms? Yeah.
I can briefly. So I'm in the process of looking for an agent, and the authors, well, if they don't know this, they will soon, but readers might not know that process. And when you finish writing a manuscript, if you want to get it traditionally published versus self-published,
Okay.
you need an agent. And so you summarize the book essentially in a one-page letter they call a query letter, and you send those off to the agents and try to see if somebody will happen to pick your letter out of the slush pile and maybe read it. It is incredibly difficult to get an agent just because they are slammed
Yeah.
with these inquiries and query letters. Anyway, I'm in the process of doing that right now, of trying to find an agent for this book, which is another midlife book, but it is a novel. So It's somewhat, it's titled right now, Lila's Last Call, though titles change
Yeah.
on publication
Yeah.
almost always. But that's the working title. And it's has sort of the same starting point as this book in that it's a midlife person who leaves her job and has lost her identity. But she then sort of goes wacko.
Mm.
And I describe her as a midlife Bridget Jones and that
Okay.
she's a real bumbly, stumbly mess. And so it is absolutely a comedy. And it was super fun to
There
write.
you go.
And I think next, I am likely going to be working on a rom-com. I'm toying between either another nonfiction book that I don't want to talk about yet
Yeah.
because it's such infancy, but it's
Mhm.
humorous as well, or a rom-com.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's fun.
One of the questions I get from my audience often is, Dave, when you have a guest on, when you're talking to the author, please ask them if there's something else coming. Because when they find an author they love, they want to know that there's something coming down the road. I've had authors come on and they're like, Dave, I wrote one book. I'm never doing this again. And I'm like, okay,
Uh,
that's fine. I like to know for the audience sake. Because again, once they find you and they read this book, they're going to be like, oh, please, please, Lucy, please write another book. Right. So,
yeah, of course, following me on social media is great because I'm out there every day
yeah.
with a reel, and hopefully those are fun and humorous and stuff too. But yes, no, my goal is to keep writing, keep writing, keep writing. I love it so much. It just feels like this is the job I get to do without having, because of my stage in life, without having to worry about how much I'm getting paid to do it. So I'm doing it just for the absolute joy of it. And I'm so fortunate to be able to be in that position. And I'm absolutely going to take advantage of that good fortune.
You learned a
So,
lot to write this book, a lot of trivia, a lot of information you've gathered to write this book. Are you telling me that you're done learning, or are you still learning and there may be
oh
a
no.
sequel? What do you think? What do you think? Another one?
Well, I've thought about that. So we'll
Okay.
see.
Okay.
But I am always learning. I just got, for example, 3 beehives. And so I'm learning everything about bees these days. And it's so much fun.
Hmm.
But I'm one of those people who's always, you know, learning something new and interesting. So that's never going to change. It's just, a question of how I write about it.
How much time do you get to sit on the couch today?
Oh, today none, because like I said, I go to this co-working space,
There you go.
so I make myself work all day, and then I have dinner plans tonight. So, but I do watch bad TV in the evening. So I'll
Okay.
admit I don't watch highbrow stuff. I mean, I watch that too, but I watch a lot of trash also.
But the couch
So
isn't being as used as it was before, right? A little less use.
no, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at
See?
all. I
Okay.
don't take naps during the day, hardly ever. And
Okay.
that's an enormous change because at the beginning, I was sleeping every day.
When how did your law background help you, or how was it kind of a hindrance for you as an author to write? Because it's a different type of writing to write this than what you've
Yeah,
done traditionally. Was there a help there as a bonus coming from law to authorship, or no?
I think they're all the writing itself. I mean, one, I got really used to making arguments and communicating and expressing thoughts and all of that. So all of that's helpful. Is the creativity part because we're so used to being in our logical brain
Right.
as lawyers, and so it's really letting go of that and letting yourself be silly and just sort of not planning as much and just writing and seeing what comes out. That took a little time. The things that are super helpful coming from, well, or any other background that your listeners might have from their workplaces is project management and learning how to learn and learning how to structure your time and how to, for me, they call writers very often, they call them either pantsers or
Yeah.
plotters.
Right.
And pantsers are people who just write by the seat of their pants, and plotters plot out their whole book beforehand. I am very much a plotter.
Okay.
Um, So, like for the rom-com that I'm thinking about, the first thing I did was write like a 30-page outline of each scene that would be in the book.
Wow.
Now, those will change as I write,
Yeah.
but that's my starting point, is I have a whole structure when I start writing. And I think law helped me with that because, of course, when you're writing legal briefs and stuff like that, there's a lot of structure involved.
Yeah.
Um, so I think any job you had is going to have skills that are transferable to this.
Yeah.
I think the main thing to learn from whatever you're coming from is to just let there be whimsy, and sometimes let your keyboard or your pen or whatever you're writing with, just let it go and see where it takes you. And forget the structure for a bit and the book ends up in places you didn't know that it would.
Right.
And that's really fun, you know?
It's exciting. I like that. And I think writing legal briefs, every word matters. And you can't misuse a word or exaggerate or embellish, because that's going to be scrutinized. It's going to be put in front of people. There's going to be judgments made on this. So every word counts when you're writing. So I would think some of that would transition over to you as an author, that you want to have the right words, right, as you write your book.
Well, I love that you think that lawyers never embellish. That's adorable.
Well, on TV, they never do. So that's for real life, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, I have always been a word girl, and I'm sort of fascinated by words, and that was true when I was a lawyer. And there's a whole section of this book about words and etymology and where phrases come from, and homonyms and homophones and all sorts of stuff. But yes, certainly being attuned to language is really helpful. One of the things that I think is really good too, and now I'm sort of jumping off into something that's not really relevant, but while I'm thinking about it, is I have had people recommend to me, and it was so helpful, to read your work out loud as you're writing it. And doing that, really, if you're tripping up on sentences, well, that tells you that sentence has a problem. And it really, for me, I want to write in a very conversational tone. So reading it aloud really shows where it's not conversational. But I think even for people who are writing literary fiction, just knowing where it's not working, a lot of times it's easier to hear that by ear.
Interesting. And then you voice the audiobook at the end of the process. So you're actually reading it out loud twice while you're writing it and when you finished. So
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Of course, when you're reading the audiobook, by then it's too late to fix
It's too late. It's way too late. Way too late.
So then you just cringe, but yeah.
Good. Yeah. Okay. I have one more question to wrap up, Lucie, as we wrap up here. But before that, take us again to your website. You get to see, again, we'll just call them the characters on the front page, and everyone has to go see them because that's fun. Take us to your website. What do you want us to do as a first-time visitor to your site?
Yeah, so the website is www.luciefrost.com. Again, Lucie is Lucie, and then Frost, as it sounds, Frost. I think if you want to get a feel for, well, of course, I want you to start with the book tab and read about the book there. If you want to get a feel for short form humor and satire and what that looks like, in case your readers enjoy it or your writers are interested in exploring that sort of work, there's an other writing tab, and that has short form pieces there.
Okay.
And then, of course, all of my social media links are on the website, and there's a newsletter. I put a newsletter out weekly that's a compilation of the reels that I do online, plus some other stuff.
Okay.
So that the people who are social media averse or just don't want to go there can still see all of the content I'm putting there.
Is your newsletter your Substack then?
It's the Substack, correct.
All right. Good. Yeah, I just subscribed while we were here.
It was a MailChimp. It's now on Substack. So,
okay.
But yeah.
Okay. Any tips for authors about using and leveraging Substack? I know a lot of authors I meet now, that's really where they're going now.
Yes, there's so many. I think working, Substack gives you the opportunity to recommend other Substacks and other newsletters. And so I think coordinating with people who are in your same genre of writing and recommending each other, that's where having relationships with other writers is so important. Oh, and one other thing, if I may
Please.
bring in another
On.
aside. When you say tips for new writers, absolutely get a writing group.
Yeah.
And sort of where do you find, so my writing group that I've had for several years now that I adore, there are 4 of us. So I think you don't want one that's too big. And you really want to develop trust among the writers. And we all write different things. One of us writes YA, which is young adult stuff. One of them writes beautifully humorous short stories. And one writes literary fiction, and then I write primarily humor. So I think that what they're writing doesn't matter. It's the trust factor. And are they reliable? Will they be there every week? And can you trust them with the vulnerable work, when you're putting work out when it's still new? But anyway, I found my group when I was taking a class through Sarah Lawrence College online. But whenever you're taking a class, you do get to know your classmates, and then just throwing it out there. Is anybody looking for a writing group? Or if there's a writer whose work you particularly enjoyed, reaching out to them and saying, are you in a writing group? And that really helps with accountability, and also just they're really good at telling you what's working and what's not working in your stories.
Okay.
And now I don't know where I was.
No, that was a great diversion. I like that. I always tell podcasters to not podcast alone. I love authors that write in community. I think there's an accountability part to it. There's a motivation part. There's also you get to learn from the feedback that you're hearing about someone else's book. You're like, oh, I like that. I'm going to bring that to my book. You're not stealing. The collective group is helping each other get better.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Good. Yes. I like it. Well, congratulations on the book. It's launching in August, correct?
Yes, August 26th. And thank you so much for having me on to talk about it. And best of luck to all the new writers out there. You're always welcome to reach out to me. There's a contact form on my website. And if there are any classes or anything I've mentioned you want to know more about, please don't hesitate to reach out. I just hope the readers really get a laugh out of this and have some moment of humor during times that sometimes aren't that humorous.
Okay. So if you're stuck on the couch and there's nothing to watch on TV and you're like, my life is meant to be more than just sitting here, just brain rotting away watching these shows. There's got to be something more. Yeah, it's a book from Lucie. You got to go grab it, read it, listen to it, share it, tell somebody else about it, and leave a great review so that other people know about this book. Tell people why you love it. More than just great author, great book. That's nice. But tell them exactly, like, this book made me laugh so hard I peed. Something. Like, tell people so people understand this is a great book and how it's going to help them. I think that would bring more people to Lucie, which will encourage her to keep writing and keep doing more great stories. Lucie, thank you so much for being part of the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. It was a fun conversation, so thanks.
Hey, thank you so much again for pressing play. As you've heard, great guests on the show. And one thing you didn't hear in this conversation is what? What did you not hear? Think about it for a second. That's right. Not a single solitary commercial for a mattress or a supplement or a whatever you call it. No. Why? Because we don't want to break up the conversation with commercials. So the fact that you're still here means that you are a fan of the show, I'm assuming. So if you want to help to keep the podcast going and to make me feel really happy, all I really care about is coffee, okay? I just got to be honest. I love coffee. I'm drinking one right now. It's starting to get cold. I need to warm it up. Helping us with our Buy Me a Coffee link over at livingthenextchapter.com and also in the show notes helps kind of keep the lights on around here. Remember, I'm doing this for free. I'm paying for everything. So I would love to have a little coffee donation, even $5 kind of fills up my cup. And I would love to enjoy a coffee from you. So if you're interested, again, thank you for listening. But you can use our Buy Me a Coffee link and fill up the cup. Thanks for being here.